Hello and welcome back to Mindful Progress, a journey where we delve into the most spine chilling tales from the darkest corners of the internet. I'm your host, Torrid Embrox. Today we will be talking about Ticci Toby and Clockwork, two of the most famous creepypastas out there. But here's a catch. Ticci Toby is one of the most loved characters in creepypasta community, but it is also no longer a creepypasta. And we will get to that in a bit when we are discussing Clockwork. And Natalie, aka Clockwork, is one of the most hated creepypastas of all time. We will be starting off with Ticci Toby's story, and then we will continue the story of Clockwork. Ticci Toby. Join me as we unravel the tragic backstory of Tobias Erin Rogers and his transformation into the feared and enigmatic Ticci Toby. Now, a quick disclaimer before we start the story. Creepypasta has a policy that their story cannot be narrated. Now, narrated as in you cannot just read it as a plain story. That is not allowed in their policy. So I had to change the narrative a bit. Changing the narrative as in where I was meant to say, for example, Eric Rogers was going home, I had to say that he started his approach to the destination, which would eventually lead to his house. So there's different wording, but it conveys the same story, so rest assured. And another disclaimer is that this story contains themes of mental illness, violence, and abuse that may be disturbing to some listeners. So listener discretion is advised. Thank you very much for sticking around. We'll start with the story right now. Ticci Toby's story begins with a boy named Tobias Erin Rogers. Toby was born with a host of challenges, including Tourette's syndrome and CIPA, congenital insensitivity to pain with anhidrosis. These conditions made Toby's life difficult, to say the least. Growing up, Toby faced relentless bullying from his peers. His tics, involuntary movements, and sounds caused by Tourette's made him an easy target. The pain of social isolation was compounded by his inability to feel physical pain, a cruel irony that only deepened his sense of alienation. At home, things were no better. Toby's father was abusive, a fact that cast a long, dark shadow over his childhood. The only solace Toby found was in the occasional moments of peace he shared with his mother and sister Lyra. One night, everything changed. The Rogers family was involved in a horrific car accident. Toby's father was killed, and the trauma from the event plunged Toby into a deeper psychological abyss. His hallucinations began to intensify, and he started seeing a tall, faceless figure in the shadows, the Slender Man. After the accident, Toby's mental health continued to deteriorate. He withdrew from the world, plagued by nightmarish visions of the Slender Man. These hallucinations became more frequent and more vivid, blurring the lines between reality and delusion. One night, driven by the relentless whispers of Slender Man, Toby snapped. He murdered his abusive father in a violent outburst and fled into the woods, leaving his old life behind. In the forest, Toby embraced his new identity as Ticci Toby. He set his house ablaze, symbolizing the destruction of his past and his rebirth under the influence of the Slender Man. This dark figure became a twisted father figure to Toby, giving him a sense of purpose and belonging he had never known. As Ticci Toby, he undertook gruesome missions for the Slender Man, targeting those who crossed his path. Each act of violence solidified his new identity and drew him deeper into the darkness. Ticci Toby quickly became beloved yet feared figure within the creepypasta community. His tragic backstory and brutal actions resonated with readers, spawning countless fan arts, stories, and adaptations. Toby is usually upbeat and hyperactive, however, he can occasionally be a very sarcastic person, and he will occasionally be uncontrollable due to his mental instability. He is shown to be temperamental when he is able to change from being very emotional to being angry or happy instantaneously, making it impossible to speak to him at times. In spite of this, he can show kindness towards certain people, and he is also shown to be a treacherous troublemaker. He grew up with little to no friends, and he lived with his mother, his older sister Lyra, and his father. When Toby was 17 years old, his sister and he were involved in a tragic car accident resulting in Lyra's death. After the death of his sister, Toby grew more and more troubled, his symptoms getting worse, barely eating or leaving his room, growing less and less social, losing more and more memory, and taking his stress out by chewing the flesh of his hands and fingers. His father lost himself to drugs and alcohol and became abusive towards his family. Toby soon lost control of his sanity and one night attacked and killed his father. He fled out of the house, grabbing 2 of the hatchets in his garage, a box of matches, and a gallon of gasoline, and set the neighborhood on fire in the attempt to escape the local police. The fire surrounded him, and as he was about to give in to his own death, Slender Man appeared and saved him before he blacked out. Toby woke up with no memory of his past self and soon became one of Slender Man's proxies. And his victims were his father, stabbed to death with a kitchen knife, and a bunch of middle school kids. Ticci Toby was created by Wade Castaway, and Ticci Toby photo used on the Villains Wiki was created by Prince Ra MMYZ. Ticci Toby is considered one of the most popular creepypasta characters alongside Slender Man, Jeff the Killer, and Smile Dog. Due to their similar backstories, many people like to imagine Ticci Toby being romantically attached to Clockwork, as well as other characters like Masky, Hody, Eyeless Jack, and Ben Drowned. Ticci Toby was born in April 28th, which is zodiac sign is Taurus, the bull. His birth year wasn't revealed, however, on his newest reference profile published by his creator on August 16, 2013, Toby was stated to be 19 in the meantime, and combining this with his canon birthday may technically implies his birth year to be 1994. It would mean that Ticci Toby is currently 30 years old. According to his age chart made by his creator, Ticci Toby was 5'4" and a half at the age of 17, which would be the time his story took place. He also was 5'6" at the age of 19, 5'8" at the age of 25, and 6 at the age of 30. Now, that was the whole story of Ticci Toby. The creepypasta is very small, but yet it is one of the most popular ones out there. Time makes you live through torture. You slowly progress through life, being controlled by society until you come to the conclusion that you have no purpose. It's a vicious cycle. Time does not stop, it does not speed up, it does not slow down, it is violent. It makes you live through the torture over and over again. You are unable to escape from it. Clockwork, describing her distaste for the concept of time and the notion of society. Natalie Outlette, or as she is more famously known, Clockwork, is the titular main antagonist of the creepypasta story, Clockwork, Your Time Is Up. She is a vengeful and cruel serial killer who mutilates her victims at night and is commonly known for her clock in her eye. Natalie was once a normal, unassuming teenage girl who came from a broken family. Her nature started to change drastically when her family started verbally and physically abusing her. The age of which the abuse began to happen is unknown, although many agree that she was first abused when she was very young. Natalie was unable to tell anyone at the time. The only true person she felt safe was her older brother Lucas. That was until she was sexually abused by him more than once for a period of 4 years. During her abuse, she tries to talk to a girl in her class about it, but Mia sabotages Natalie and spills her secret, prompting online and real-life harassment during her elementary school years. When Natalie was 16, things take a turn for the worst. Natalie's boyfriend Chris asks her to talk to him after her class. He admits to her that he wishes to break up and see other people. She returns home, goes into the bathroom, and with her mindset was seemingly even more negative than before, and after keeping everything bottled up for too long, Natalie had finally snapped inside. She self-harms herself by sewing the corners of her mouth into a smile with a black thread and stitches. Her mother finds her doing this and decides to schedule some therapy for her. With her visit to the therapist, Natalie explains that time has been her biggest problem and that she wholly believes that time and the concept of it was against her and the reason which led to her abuse. After trying to get psychological help, she got sent to a doctor for some mental drugs that would hopefully improve her mental state. He says that she will be back to normal in no time, then slips an anesthesia mask on her as he performs surgery. Things went horribly wrong. During the surgery, Natalie gained consciousness and she was able to respond and move about. She then momentarily passes out after coughing blood for an unknown reason. She then wakes up again, and the doctor from earlier informs her that she was never supposed to wake up and that her appearance had also changed from the surgery. Natalie looks into the mirror and quickly notices that her once hazel eyes had completely changed to a vibrant green. However, Natalie was surprisingly happy with her new look. After she had gone completely insane, she kills a doctor along with 2 security guards and escapes from the hospital. Natalie returns home through a thunderstorm and kills her mother, father, and lastly her brother. After the murder of her family, she walks into the bathroom, then suddenly spots her father's old pocket watch on the rim of the sink and listens to the faint ticking for what seems like an eternity. She disassembles it so that only the face of the watch remained. She repeats what she had told the therapist about time while removing her left eye and dropping it into the sink. She then forces the small clock into her eye socket until it fits perfectly and refers herself Clockwork. Clockwork then walks away from her house as it burns to the ground along with her family. Now she lives on, carrying her insanity with her and leaving so many victims dead, claiming that she is the one who determines when their time should come to an end. So both Natalie, Clockwork, and Ticci Toby, yeah. So both Ticci Toby and Clockwork have some connections, probably some fan speculations, but what it says is that Ticci Toby is kind of attracted to Clockwork. So those are some interesting facts we got to know. Let's talk about Clockwork's appearance. Clockwork has pale peach skin, long messy brown hair, and formerly hazel green eyes. Her eyes changing color was the result of unspecified drugs forcefully prescribed to her by an unknown doctor that changed the pigment of her eyes from hazel to bright green. The clothing she mostly wears is a white tank top, a grayish blue hoodie with white fur lining the edges of the hood, black skinny jeans, and a pair of black knee-high boots. Her most noticeable features is the pocket watch that replaced her left eye and the black stitches which were sewn into the corners of her mouth to resemble an upwards smiling position. Before becoming a killer, Natalie was a shy, polite, and sophisticated young girl who only wanted nothing more than to just enjoy her life peacefully with a loving family. But unfortunately, due to her abusive upbringing, her personality noticeably changed into depressed, nearly mute, numb, anxious, and after the loss of her sanity, she became a lot more reserved and unemotional, as she prefers to keep her feelings hidden away from others until she feels that it's okay to let them out. Now, as Clockwork is very loud-mouthed, as she'll say almost anything to anyone, whether it offends them or not. This also goes for her sarcastic nature as well, with it mixed in with her twisted sense of humor. When she meets new people, she often comes across as violent, sadistic, obnoxious, and unladylike. As for her powers and abilities, Clockwork is durable, agile, and is a fast runner. Clockwork also has a pocket watch in place of her eye, which will glow a fluorescent green color in the dark along with her regular eye, which is a sign of her presence. She also has a love for physical pain. She'll often smile whenever anyone tries to attack her and will remain completely unfazed by it. The original story was published on the official Creepypasta website in 2013, however shortly taken down due to negative reviews. Clockwork was born on November 6, 1996. She is currently 24 years old. Clockwork's weapon consists of two large serrated knives. Clockwork has a lot of French blood in her veins, however she doesn't have an accent. She was canonically in a relationship with Tobias Rogers, aka Ticci Toby. Yes, she was with Toby, who is now no longer a creepypasta character within the franchise. Clockwork hates Slender Man with a burning passion. She despises being called by her previous name before she became a murderer. Clockwork has a fixation with gore and frequently likes to draw gruesome stuff such as people getting brutally stabbed and tortured, bloody hatchets, and other different kinds of weapons, etc. She sees it as a normal everyday hobby for her, while others think it's weird and suspicious due to her state of mind. When Mr. Creepypasta narrated Clockwork, Your Time Is Up, he edited out a few aspects of the story, most notably Clockwork's age and the sexual abuse, as he didn't feel comfortable narrating the incestuous rape scene with Clockwork and her brother. She isn't very careful at all. Clockwork is very reckless when it comes to fights and killing sprees, mainly because she'll practically have the balls to fight just about anyone, but because of this she usually gets hurt a lot. Clockwork is one of the most hated creepypasta stories out there because of how The story is filled with many grammatical errors along with many other flaws. Many people who have read her story would consider it a Jeff the Killer ripoff. Wow, that was a roller coaster. If you guys don't know, I already covered Jeff the Killer in a previous episode. I think it was the third episode, probably. You guys can check it out. And I also did cover Slender Man in the fourth episode. You can check it out as well. It also has a visualization on YouTube, so if you guys have hard time understanding what I'm saying or have a hard time just imagining stuff while someone is talking to you, then you could watch the visualization to help you with that. Okay, now since we reached the end of the episode, I would like to thank you all for supporting the podcast and listening to it. And as for the next episode, it is guaranteed to come out on the last week of the month, which is guaranteed, or some episodes might come out inside of the month, which are like extra or bonus, you could say, but those are not guaranteed. And I'm thinking of writing my own creepypasta. Like, I want to make my own story and convert it into a podcast. So I'll think of doing that as well, but for now I'll just stick to creepypasta narration. Thank you all for listening in and tuning in to Mindful Progressor Journey's 5th episode. You just heard the story about Ticci Toby and Clockwork. I hope you all enjoyed it, and I hope to see you all next time as well. And if I do make one, I will upload it in this podcast, maybe in the season 2. Till then, have a good day and keep the lights on, because you may never know what comes after you.